welcome back to Get Involved Pittsburgh. Hopefully you enjoyed our interview with Tim Benz of 105.9 The X. During Tim's interview, he mentioned our next guest a few times, actually, Penny Semaia, who's a former offensive lineman, also played defensive line for a year for the University of Pittsburgh for the football team, and now is the Director of Life Skills at the University of Pittsburgh. So kind of on the flip side, making a difference, helping out the students there at the University of Pittsburgh. So thanks, Penny, for being on the show.
Thank you very much, Tom. Very excited to be here.
Great, great. So I know that you grew up in New York, in Utica, 6 siblings, right? How was that?
Yeah, it definitely prepares a lot of people for competition. So if you have 6 siblings in the same house a year apart, chances are you're going to be fighting for the same toys. So
that means you win, I guess?
You can see, right? I won in a lot of things.
That's great. That's great. Now you got recruited as a student athlete coming out of high school. I'm a big Shaquille O'Neal fan, a big Shaq fan, so I love the movie Blue Chips. You learn a lot about what the good and the bad of recruiting. What was the process of for you of being recruited?
Well, I think it was probably a lot different from the student athletes here in Western Pennsylvania. For one thing, football out here is large. It's bigger than life, compatible to that of Texas or Florida. Where I grew up in upstate New York, football typically isn't a big thing. It's more of a basketball state, basketball city. So I was probably one of 2 student athletes from my high school who actually went Division I, with the first one going in the early 90s. So I was kind of left to it on my own. Did a lot of things by myself or with the assistance of a coach. Kind of flew on my first plane, didn't know what I needed for it and whatnot. So I really didn't know the process. I kind of learned as I went, which is probably just a theme of my life. I kind of learned and did things as I moved forward without a lot of guidance ahead of me, but a lot of support around me.
Right. I think a lot of people's dream is to someday play, a college sport, get to play a professional sport someday. What was the experience for you playing on the Pitt team?
It was wonderful. I mean, to go from a 17-year-old kid coming out of Utica, New York, to being in a major city like Pittsburgh, and the guys that you come in with, it's a great experience because, one, you're having an experience to live your dreams, to get a great education from a great university like the University of Pittsburgh, and the experiences you gain, you mature and you grow into manhood with these guys. So I call it the brotherhood. We went from these guys coming in, not knowing a lot of things, but grew into manhood essentially into our early 20s and moved on into our own lives.
Right. And you decided to stay on with the University of Pittsburgh, now serving in a very important role. You started, I think, out in the Office of Admissions for a little while and then working in athletics. What was the experience of going from being a student athlete to now a staff member at the university?
It was a unique transition. You kind of got used to a lot of things, not really being able to explore outside of the Oakland area or outside of what was the concentrated area of the university campus. But once you moved beyond that, you took what you learned in college, and I'm not just talking about classroom, I'm talking about outside the classroom. I was a student athlete who was very active. I was in Black Action Society, Asian Students Association, participating in student government board activities and whatnot. I took advantage of those experiences, which essentially landed me this opportunity to expand on my experiences and provide resources to our student athlete population.
And it's a good reason why we should all be active. We should all, stay engaged on our campus or in our community. And it can help you out professionally as well, because I'm sure that you got your name out there a bit, which it was through being an athlete, but also through being a student leader on campus. So, Director of Life Skills, right? That's an interesting title. A lot of people watching at home on the internet are probably wondering, what does a Director of Life Skills do at the university?
Well, life skills is a very broad topic. I always look at it in 3 facets of a student athlete's life. You have the academic side, the athletic side, and then the social side. What we bring to the table is to combine all 3 concepts. For example, academically, student athletes are going to go to college, they're going to get a degree, they're going to work hard, they're going to study, they're going to work on their books and whatnot. Athletically, they have the coaches' support staff of everyone around them. Our purpose and our mission is to help bring all 3 together, to bring a holistic experience, to provide resources and development for our student athletes to prepare for success while they're in college and for life after college.
Are you seeing that a lot of your students not only are doing well in the classroom and through sports, but also through service work and organizations the same way that you did when you were an undergraduate student?
I see it more so now. It's a very self-gratifying feeling when you see student athletes doing so many great things, so many positive things. Perfect example, we asked that our student athletes participate in one community service project per semester. We have about 450 student athletes. That's essentially 900 hours. Last year, we had our student athletes complete 2,700 hours of community service, which for us is really a benchmark of them showing us that they take this seriously, they care about what's going on, and they want to progress as well. So it's been a great, satisfying feeling to see that.
Good. Now, does your position or a similar department to yours exist at a lot of schools? Is this something that we see nationwide, that schools are doing more of this with life skills for students?
It does. It's something where the NCAA and a lot of NCAA institutes have recognized that there are unique topics and issues that student athletes face, and they wanted to address it. A perfect example of what you see visually during the NCAA tournaments, for example, you see all those wonderful promotions of student athletes who are competing on a basketball court. They walk off, they're in a business suit, or they're a photographer. We are the hands-on, the programmers, the workshops for that.
Right.
You know, what you see visually is what we provide to our student athletes. For me, I sit on a national committee for it, so I'm able to see what a lot of people are doing around campuses all around the country, and you know, see firsthand what are the topics and, you know, the hot topics that we are facing as a staff as well as student athletes.
Mm-hmm. We have people of all kinds of different ages that watch the show, which is great. We might have teenagers watching the show, younger people watching the show. What advice would you give them when they're thinking, you know, because I think I fell into the same trap, you know, when I was 14, 15, I didn't see anything besides being a professional athlete someday. What advice would you give kids that are thinking, you know, I want to go that way, when they're looking at college, when they're thinking about their future?
Right. Well, it's a statement I use a lot when I talk to different students. I always say, you know, our whole lives people have been telling us we could be whatever we want to be. If you stick to that mentality, some students, some people kind of sit still and wait for things to come to them. My advice is to be whatever you're willing to work for. Find what that is and work towards it. Don't allow it to come to you. You go towards it. You'll be a lot more satisfied with your results.
Great. What have been speaking of satisfying, what have been some of the most satisfying experiences in your career? And I know that you're in your mid-20s still. What have been some of the accomplishments through your professional life or civic life that you've enjoyed so far?
I'll say seeing the full 360 degrees. Student athletes who I saw as freshmen, moving forward, like, again, it's a very self-gratifying job. They're now coming back assisting our current student athletes. You know, just seeing how they molded into a professional career where they are now, or they're in a graduate school level, or they're even playing professional sports. They're coming back, they're helping out the current generations because they understood what it was like and the resources they needed as well. So it's very, very self-gratifying.
Right. Somewhere where you've gone a little bit outside of just sports and working now within you know, student affairs in that field as well. You were actually the sideline reporter, I believe, for Pitt football for a few years. What was that experience like? How did you land that position? That sounds like a lot of fun.
Well, it was funny. The experiences I took advantage of in college, in student organizations and whatnot, a lot of student organizations would ask me to host or MC a lot of shows.
Okay.
So I MC'd a lot of shows, you know, and got to do a lot of speaking on stage. And one day, an administrator approached me and said, "Hey, look, we're looking for a sideline reporter. Are you interested?" I wasn't working for Pitt Athletics at the time. Okay. I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So next thing I know, they told me to go to the Pitt Notre Dame game. Coach Wanstett's first game.
Right, no pressure at all.
No pressure at all. They gave me a microphone and a headset and says, "All right, when Bill Hillgrove comes to you, you're on." So the first time he came down to me, we scored. Greg Lee scored a touchdown. He goes into the end zone. Bill Hillgrove throws it down to me. He's like, "Penny Semaia, what's going on the sideline?" I'm like, "It's bonkers, Bill. Back to you." So Bill being the great professional that he is, he just took it in stride and moved right on. And, you know, in my mind, I was like, "Oh, I'm ruined. I'm done. It's over." But, you know, Bill's very patient and very, very good guy.
That's great. That's great. Well, where do you see the future of Penny Semaia going? I mean, are you enjoying what you're doing, working with the students? Would you ever want to go back into broadcasting a little bit? Where do you see your future going?
You know, I would love to do broadcasting, but for me, I find life skills and my life goal being more passionate to me right now. I have a life goal of trying to change the world. That's my life mission. How I'm going to do it, whether it's one person at a time, small groups at a time, or paying it forward, is my goal. So I just see myself continuing to progress and help others to help others.
Great. Well, I know you are changing the world, and we really thank you for being on the show. I would, encourage anyone that's watching the show to reach out to you, because you really are a great role model for students, for student athletes, and I think that you're just doing tremendous work at Pitt. So I agree. Stay out of broadcasting. Stick with it. You're changing the world that way. So
don't go bonkers.
Don't go bonkers. So thanks to Penny Semaia, our second interview today. Great role model, great leader at the University of Pittsburgh, and I'm sure he'll be that for many years to come. So thanks to Penny for being with us. After a quick break, we're going to be back with Shannon Pellicero. We're going to switch things up. Our first two guests have been a little bit about sports. Now we're going to talk about cooking and food. So we'll be back with Shannon in just a moment. Thanks. Nice job.